Part 9. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 81. Chapter 81 Zi meets King Xiaowan. Come here if you like to eat. When you start school, you won't have the opportunity often. Chen Liangdong gave Gu Ziyu another big crab. Gu Xi could tell that he really liked Ziyu. Uncle Chen, how is Dr. North doing? After dinner, the three of them moved to the courtyard to watch the stars and drink tea. Chen Liangdong was also good at making tea and invited Gu Xi and Ziyu to taste his collection of Wuishan de Hongbao. Chen Liangdong poured tea and pushed it to Gu Xi. I have nothing to do with this matter. I approved the report the day before yesterday. There is no problem. It will be out in a few days. Chen Liangdong said, this matter is easy to handle, let's have some tea. Gu Xi didn't know anything about tea tasting. When she smelled it, she only felt the aroma of tea. Chen Liangdong said, this little girl is amazing. Gu Xi clicked his tongue, you are so thirsty for talents that you don't let anyone go. This is an injustice. I didn't recruit her. Bao Bao is the only talent I recruited. Chen Liangdong emphasized the only thing. Gu Xi drank tea awkwardly and ignored him. Gu Xi couldn't help but laugh and thought to herself that Chen Liangdong only knew that Xiao Tao Tao hid his identity and changed his name. If he knew that Xiao Tao Tao deliberately cut off his finger as a death certificate to kill the murderer, he might not end it simply. What about the murderer? Gu Xi asked. He did abuse a minor. Although he didn't cause death, he can't be let go, right? The sentence was commuted to 5 years. Gu Xi made up her mind that the fate of Dr. North and Little Cherry would be different from the previous life, which was very good. Chen Liangdong made a second pot of tea. Are you familiar with Dr. North? Not familiar. Gu Xi moved her wrist. The shadow in her heart was too heavy. When she mentioned Dr. North, her wrist ached slightly. I'm lucky enough to have seen her surgery video. Gu Xi drank the tea and found it tasteless. He picked up a piece of sugar cube and Chen Liangdong said, what a waste of natural resources. Gu Xi added a piece of sugar cube and looked at him provocatively. Gu Xi. Chen Liangdong was really kind to Gu Xi. He said, I'll make you a black tea bag next time. Then I won't come. Chen Liangdong said with a smile, school will start in half a month. In 2 days, I will take you to meet the doctoral supervisor of University A. Both professors are industry giants. Oh. Gu Xi pursed his lips, can I not socialize? No, Chen Liangdong said with a smile, our country is a humane society. Not only must we socialize, but we must also make every word a breeze, and make everyone feel that you are a true friend when you interact with them. Gu Xi drank tea and hid her smile, which was very difficult for the lonely and autistic Gu Xi. Gu Xi puffed up his cheeks and looked more and more like a milk bun. He drank de Hongbao in one breath and said, the fox insists on wearing rabbit skin. I really got on the pirate ship. Chen Liangdong laughed, in addition to the 3 courses and training you need to learn, I also hope that you have a basic knowledge of music, chess, calligraphy and painting, horse riding, archery, antiques, drama, culture, and languages. Gu Xi's face was already dark. Chen Liangdong said, the language requirements are not high. Proficient in English, German, Russian, French, Japanese and Korean, these 6 are enough. Except for these 6 subjects. Gu Xi endured, forget about language, I think there is no problem in learning 2 more subjects. Why should we learn drama, culture, horseback riding, archery, piano, chess, calligraphy, and painting? He is proficient in 12 languages and computers. He knows nothing about the extracurricular knowledge that Chen Liangdong mentioned. He has to learn it from scratch, and he also needs to learn music, drama, and culture. There is a lot of knowledge at hand, and it will always be useful when it is needed. Chen Liangdong said, it can save your life at the critical moment. Gu Xi was amazed, Ziyu, you are really the king of Wan. If it were a feudal society, would you be training a prince? Gu Zhiu blurted out. Chen Liangdong's expression was a little subtle. Gu Xi. The atmosphere was silent for a few seconds, and Bian Mu yelled next to him. Gu Xi asked Chen Liangdong, where did you buy this Weishan de Hongbao? It tastes good. How many kilograms can I buy? This is de Hongbao from a mother tree in Wei Mountain. The annual output is only 2 kilograms. Chen Liangdong answered the question naturally, connoting, it's a gift from others, so I don't have to buy it. Understood. I'll give you half a caddy and take it back later. 2 taels will do. Gu Xi chuckled, it's too expensive, I don't deserve it. The two of them changed the subject smoothly and naturally, and Gu Zhiu instantly understood what a refreshing communication meant. Oh, that's it? He can learn too. After Chen Liangdong and Gu Zhiu decided on a date to meet the professor together, the mother and son stood up to leave. Chen Liangdong took loofah, bitter melon, lettuce, cabbage, and a large watermelon from the vegetable field to take back to them. Gu Xi felt a little embarrassed even eating and taking food. Gu Zhiu acted like a baby as soon as he got in the car. Mom, I want to be illiterate. Gu Xi chuckled, in the future, the people you will deal with will be all over the world. It will be good to learn more knowledge around you. She paused and said, I'll kill your father, he's not as knowledgeable as you. Gu Zhiu's motivation instantly increased, okay. When the two went back, Li Zhang sent Lu Ziwen back to the parking lot. The four of them met each other. Lu Ziwen turned a blind eye and walked forward, his back silent and cold. Li Zhang saw Gu Zhiu's fierce eyes, broke out in a cold sweat, and hurriedly chased after him. Gu Xi felt a little suffocated. Gu Zhiu was holding a big round watermelon. She was carrying vegetables. Gu Zhiu asked, Mom, you and your father haven't reconciled after the quarrel. It's so pretentious that you have to calm me down when we have a quarrel. Gu Zhiu concluded, you're a stingy brat. Gu Xi took Gu Zhiu upstairs and gave half of the vegetables he brought back to Zhou Jinjin. He happened to encounter Zhou Jinjin and Chen Fei quarreling. The reason was that Zhou Jinjin was live broadcasting at home, which disturbed Chen Fei. Gu Zhiu's coach is still in graduate school. He is currently writing a thesis and needs a clean environment. Zhou Jinjin's live broadcast is usually from 4 to 9 o'clock. Chen Fei kept knocking on the door from 7 o'clock and came 4 times. The two of them started to quarrel after talking to each other. Chen Fei was honest and stupid and couldn't quarrel with Zhou Jinjin. He was so angry that his face turned red. Gu Xi acted as peacemaker and gave each person a bag of vegetables. Chen Fei was so angry that he closed the door. Zhou Jinjin complained, in order to match his time, I changed the live broadcast from 7-11 o'clock to 4-9 o'clock. I simply ate 2 bites of bread for dinner, just not to disturb him to sleep. He just knocked on the door and said, it will be at 7 o'clock. Go to bed at 7 o'clock, is he an antique? My 90-year-old grandfather doesn't even go to bed at 7 o'clock, but his brother, a soldier, goes to bed at 7 o'clock. Isn't this causing trouble? Gu Zhiu said, this matter can be easily solved. I'll ask Li Zhang to put up sound insulation boards for you. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 82. Chapter 82. Third Brother and Gu Xi. This is not about the soundproof wall. I think he is just deliberately looking for trouble. Zhou Jinjin and Chen Fei got on the pole. I won't stick to it, I'll make him angry to death. After Gu Xi put the dishes away, if you argue with him, it will affect the live broadcast effect, lose money, and affect endocrine. It's not worth the gain. When Zhou Jinjin heard that it made sense, he agreed to Gu Xiu's plan. As soon as the soundproof wall was installed, Gu Xi, Zhou Li and Zhou Jinjin were live broadcasting the night. Zhou Jinjin is lively, sweet-tongued, and has a witty speech. Zhou Li also interviews Gaiji and Ke, which is also pretty witty. Gu Xi is just here to cool things off. The fans in the live broadcast room were all laughing to death, two live treasures and a cold spot king. Goosey Eye, don't talk, just sit and don't move, just keep the camera moving, it's pleasing to the eye. Jo Jin also noticed that when Goosey Eye was asked to be a model, she would apply makeup on Goosey Eye. She was a beauty blogger, and she sold skincare products and cosmetics in the live broadcast room. She was very good at it. Only then did the audience know about Goosey's live broadcast without makeup. You are handsome and willful. Is this bare face real? I thought she put on makeup. The ceiling of real entertainment and good looks. Don't come here for domestic entertainment, I am the top scorer in the college entrance examination and a medical student. Goosey Eye chose clinical medicine when the audience asked her what major she chose during the live broadcast. She responded. Everyone thought she chose the music department to make money in the entertainment industry through Hualan Dongfeng. Who knew she chose clinical medicine? A powder. Jo Jin put makeup on Goosey Eye, while Jolie explained the product and kept praising Goosey's beauty. Fans who praised Jolie were booing, smashing, and chasing after her. Many people use Goosey Eye's Huli CP. Putting on makeup and letting her hair down, she looked even more glamorous. Jo Jin gave her a Hong Kong-style daughter makeup, which was luxurious and glamorous. Every product used on Goosey's face disappeared as soon as it was put on the shelves. Jo Jin chuckled and said, everyone should be calm when it comes to products. You don't just buy it and you will become Goosey Eye. The barrage contains rows of heart-wrenching expressions. The live broadcast started at 4 o'clock. Lu Ziwen was training and Li Zhang had been watching the live broadcast. He wiped his hair and asked Li Zhang, what are you watching? This is Miss Goosey's first live broadcast, it's so funny. Lu Ziwen snatched his cell phone, and happened to see the picture of Jo Jin putting on good makeup on Goosey Eye, making her beautiful. Jolie praised Goosey Eye for being good looking, and a lot of fans were following Jolie and Goosey's CP. Lu Ziwen's eyes darkened and he pressed down his phone. Li Zhang, go run 10 laps on the track. Li Zhang, who was struck by a disaster from heaven, was confused. Why? You are too idle. Jiang. You are jealous, so you can't make things worse for me. At the top of Jiang River, Lu Ziwen looked at him like the third master, so he could only grit his teeth and run. Lu Ziwen had a sullen face, changed into a set of training clothes, and started doing indoor strength training. In the cloakroom, Lu Ziwen changed his clothes, took his mobile phone, and unexpectedly arrived at the live broadcast room. Fans were checking the CP. It happened to be the time to ask questions. Many fans were checking whether Goosey Eye had a boyfriend. Goosey Eye said, single. Jolie, did you hear me? I'm single and can be pursued. Lu Ziwen's eyes darkened, and he turned off his mobile phone. He was single and could be pursued. His face was gloomy and uncertain. He just felt annoyed. He was so attractive. He really wanted to lock him at home and not let anyone see him. He found Goosey Eye in the blacklist, looked at it for a moment, and then threw the phone into the cabinet. Jo Jin, Jolie, and Goosey's live broadcast was very successful. They promoted 6 brands this time. Everything was not cheap, so the prices went up. They sold 6.2 billion in one night, and they were about to be promoted to first-line beauty bloggers, attracting countless fans. You've made a fortune, my treasure. Jo Jin looked at the backend data and smiled from ear to ear. She had signed up for a share of the profit. Although it was not high, it could not stand up to the large volume. Jo Jin also felt the huge potential in this market. Goosey Eye reminded, remember to pay taxes. Jo Jin. After finishing this live broadcast, Goosey Eye had nothing to do. She only stayed at home and read books, and occasionally went to see Lu Ziwen. Lu Ziwen ignored her and started a Cold War unilaterally. After Goosey Eye failed to give him a watch, he gave him various gifts. She even made nutritious meals for him, but Lu Ziwen didn't put her off the blacklist. It's really hard to coax Gu Si had a headache. Gu Si searched on her phone. What should she do if her boyfriend gets angry? On social networks, there are a lot of ways to coax your boyfriend, including giving gifts, giving them before, cheating, playing tricks, and acting like a spoiled child. What is coquettishness? She won't. Gu Si clicked on a video. The girl was wearing a suspender skirt, heavy makeup, and bunny ears. She was cooing at her boyfriend. Gu Si felt goosebumps all over her body when she heard it. What are you talking about, coquetry? Isn't this soft porn? Gu Si watched several more similar videos. I cannot do it. In the afternoon, Lu Ziwen's training came to an end. When she returned to the global center, she saw Gu Si standing at the door waiting for her. Gu Si was wearing a nude-colored suspender dress and a pair of crystal high heels. Her hair was tied into a bun, and her hair was exquisite and gorgeous. She wore makeup and earrings on her ears, hanging above her collarbone, looking pure and lustful. Lu Ziwen had just finished training and was covered in sweat. It was when his hormones were at their strongest. Gu Si was standing in the sunshine with a charming look. Lu Ziwen's throat was dry and his Adam's apple rolled. When he approached Gu Si, he could still smell the perfume she specially sprayed, which was the cool fragrance of cedar rose. Third brother, can you forgive me? Gu Si's voice was soft, delicate, and soft, and her eyes were moving, charming her soul. Lu Ziwen. This is the name Gu Si used to call him before she was 8 years old. When she was a child, she was his little tail, always following behind him. Third brother, play the violin with me. Third brother, buy me ice cream. Third brother, carry my school bag. Third brother, you can only like me, not Gu Jiwen. Later, he could no longer hear the name he used to call him when he was a child. Returning to the time when he was a child, he still missed the tone of Gu Si when he called him third brother. At that time, she and Gu Si had not broken up yet, and she was attached to him as an older brother. Lu Ziwen threw off his helmet, strode forward, clasped her neck and pulled her into his arms, pressing it against his chest, listening to his violent heartbeat, and kissed her lips. Gu Si narrowed her eyes, and a thought flashed through his passionate kiss. Surfing the internet has indeed benefited a lot, and the beauty trap has no disadvantages. He hugged her and pressed her against the car. Gu Si's soft body leaned back, almost pressed against the car and kissed her fiercely. Lu Ziwen's breath was hot, and so was his palm, which was pressed against her lower back. If you want to burn it, call again. Lu Ziwen's voice was hoarse, the tip of his nose was pressed against hers, and he kissed her with lingering thoughts. Gu Si stood on tiptoes and blew into his ear, third brother, please forgive Xiao Si. Lu Ziwen's whole body was numb, and he held her tightly in his arms. Who taught her this seductive fairy? Gu Si raised her head, touched the wolf head necklace on his chest, and kissed the wolf head in his burning eyes. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 83. Chapter 83 First Date. Lu Ziwen took a deep breath. This scene was too exciting for him, and Gu Si felt that the two of them were almost touching each other. Who taught you this? Lu Ziwen asked hoarsely, his eyes almost reddening. I'm trying to coax you, I'm self-taught. Gu Si said sweetly, I miss you, I can't sleep at night, I can't rest day by day, it's very painful. These words sound familiar. Lu Ziwen pinched her waist. Gu Si smiled and tried to hide. He pinched her intentionally and hurt her. Gu Eye was angry, stared at him, and struggled in his arms. Lu Ziwen held back, "Don't move." Gu Eye realized how hot he was and her face turned red. "You copied love words from the internet to deal with me." Gu Eye. Lu Ziwen lowered his head and bit her shoulder. Gu Eye hit him, "It's very uncomfortable." "It's okay to know how uncomfortable it is." Lu Ziwen hugged her and took a deep breath. He bit her shoulder and left a tooth mark. He had good self-control and slowly calmed down. "Next time you act recklessly, let's see how I deal with you." "I don't dare anymore." Gu Eye was very good and didn't mess with him. "Really miss me?" "Think." Lu Ziwen said mockingly, "Aren't you and Jolie having a great time escaping and live broadcasting? Your CP fans account for half of the sky, the nation's first love girlfriend, haha." Gu Eye said sincerely, "Third brother, you are the dream of girls all over the world. You are the nation's first love." What she said is true at all. When Lu Ziwen was on the court, he looked like the face of a nation's first love. At night, he turned into the face of the hero in the horror story Don't Talk to Strangers. Lu Ziwen was coaxed into a happy mood, and the anger and jealousy he had been feeling for the past few days were calmed down by sweet words. Gu Eye asked, "Have you finished training today?" Shall we go to the movies?" The last time he watched a movie, Lu Ziwen always thought that Gu Zie was a light bulb. How could he not accept Gu Zie's invitation? He looked at Gu Eye and said with a stern face, "Change clothes." "Doesn't it look good?" Gu Eye picked out the sexiest dress in her wardrobe. Lu Ziwen leaned over and smiled evilly, "I am the only one allowed to see this body." He wanted to gouge out the eyes of anyone who took one more look. Lu Ziwen went upstairs and took a shower. Seriously, this was the first date between him and Gu Eye. He was wearing a fashionable brand, with a black silk shirt with a very low collar, and a silver wolf head hidden on his chest. A bit wild, he wears black casual pants, a shirt tucked into his waist, and a pair of black and white casual shoes. His legs are incredibly long. Lu Ziwen combed his hair in front of the mirror, sprayed on perfume and put on his watch. Li Zhang thought to himself, "The peacock is not as showy in courting as you are, third young master." Gu Eye had a good rapport with him. They wore a white shirt tucked into black trousers and couple-style casual shoes. They could take posters wherever they stood. The two of them were wearing masks in the cinema. Gu Eye took the initiative to take Lu Ziwen's hand and interlocked with him, like an ordinary couple. She booked a movie ticket for 3 o'clock and came 10 minutes early. Gu Eye take Lu Ziwen to buy milk tea. "I'm drinking a strawberry milkshake, what about you?" Lu Ziwen didn't want to choose. It was too sweet. He glanced at the young couple in someone else's house and each had a cup of milk tea. He took a look and chose whichever one was the most expensive. In Mr. Lusan's concept, among competing products, expensive ones must be better than cheap ones. After the two got milk tea, Gu Eye also took a photo and sent it to Gu Ziu. She was not a show of affection, and neither was Lu Ziwen. On their first date, both of them were inexplicably shy. Probably because of her height, dress, and temperament, she is too eye-catching and has a high rate of turning heads. Lu Ziwen is used to being in the spotlight, but Gu Eye is a little unaccustomed to it. She has left over the habits in prison. She is not used to the public gaze and is used to hiding in the crowd. "What's wrong?" Lu Ziwen was attentive. Gu Eye didn't expect that he could see through this subtle emotion. "I'm afraid you will be recognized." "Ification. Those 3 billion girls' white moonlight is shattered, and your fans will fight you to death." "I don't rely on fans to make money," Lu Ziwen said proudly. "I am a world champion, and it's not because of fans." Gu Eye bought a couple's room. It is large, has few people, and has good privacy. After sitting in the cinema, before the movie started, Gu Eye asked, "Does the milk tea taste good?" It doesn't taste good. Lu Ziwen was disgusted, so he took a sip and didn't drink it. Gu Si turned her head and took a sip from his straw. It's quite sweet. Her hair swept across Lu Ziwen's cheek, making him feel itchy. Lu Ziwen shouted, Gu Si. Why? Gu Si raised her head and was kissed by him. Gu Si's heart trembled, and she kissed him tenderly. Lu Ziwen licked her lips. It's quite sweet. Gu Si's face turned red, and Lu Ziwen seemed to have enjoyed it. I'll have a taste of yours. She held the milk tea and came up to him. Lu Ziwen deliberately put his lipstick on it and took a sip, making a pun, it's quite sweet too. Gu Si held the milk tea and took a sip. Well, it's very sweet. The movie is a romance film. Lu Ziwen wanted to complain after watching the beginning. When the male and female protagonists meet, the female protagonist falls from a tree and hits the male protagonist. The two hug each other, and the scene freezes with the two rolling on the grass and kissing each other. Lu Ziwen. Artificial sugar is forced into your mouth. Halfway through the plot, the male and female protagonists had 2 rounds of misunderstandings, reconciliation, and repeated iterations. Lu Ziwen was already scolding the producer in his heart. Apart from the beautiful pictures, there was nothing of value. He felt sleepy. Gu Si couldn't help laughing when she saw him sleeping on the back of the chair. Sloppy. He should watch action movies. He can actually sleep in romance movies. He is really addicted to food. He insists on ordering romance movies even though he knows he can't watch romance movies. In the second half of the movie, while the male protagonist was chasing the female protagonist, he got into a car accident. The stereo surround sound woke Lu Ziwen up, and he saw that it was a scene of a car accident. Lu Ziwen, bad luck. Gu Si suppressed a laugh, hooked his little finger, and scratched his palm. There was a sound from next door. Lu Ziwen saw a couple kissing in the dark cinema. The sound was obvious, the girl's hum. He can hear it all. Lu Ziwen asked Gu Si, why don't they get a room together? The ambiguous sound of water next door stopped abruptly. Gu Si. She held her forehead and thought to herself, Lu Ziwen, if I watch the movie with you for the 3rd time, I will be the puppy. The boy next door even whispered, it's none of your business. This is a couple's hall. If you can kiss me. Lu Ziwen was at the age of 20 when he was high-spirited and capable of quarreling. He asked sarcastically, I paid for the hotel, can you shut up? Brother. Gu Si took his hand, clasped their fingers together, and said softly, don't be stubborn. He scolded me. Lu Ziwen was arrogant, who dares to scold me except you? You go on sleeping. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 84. Chapter 84 Love Affair Exposed. Lu Ziwen became more energetic and held Gu Si's hand. Gu Si, I was ridiculed. So what? Lu Ziwen pulled Gu Si and kissed her, and the sound was louder than the next door. Gu Si's lips and tongue were numb. I have to prove that I have the ability. Gu Si, your desire to win is really overwhelming. Crazy, the boy next door couldn't help but cursed again. Gu Si and the girl each pulled each other, and the movie finally ended. The boy next door angrily left with his girlfriend. Lu Ziwen looked like a winner. Seeing his lively appearance, and then thinking of the lifeless face of the 3rd master, Gu Si felt very subtle in her heart. One of the 2 personalities was a mature and steady brother, and the other was an arrogant and childish brother. Lu Ziwen glanced at his watch and said, I'm home. Let's go back after dinner. Gu Si deliberately teased him. Lu Ziwen categorically rejected, no. Is he stupid? If you want 3rd master to date Gu Si, the cuckold is so delicious that you have to put it on your head. Unfortunately, when Lu Ziwen and Gu Si left the theater, they were blocked by fans. Two fans recognized him and excitedly wanted to sign and take photos. Lu Ziwen's face darkened. Inconvenient, Lu Ziwen refused coldly and just wanted to leave quickly. Is she your girlfriend? Who is she? The fan, a young girl, asked angrily, as if she had been raped in bed, and her temper was extremely high. What does it have to do with you? Lu Ziwen replied, pulling Gu Xi away. The girl rushed to him and asked with tears in her eyes, you are actually in love and wearing couple's clothes with others. How can you be worthy of our fans? Who seduced you? You should focus on racing. If you fall in love and ruin your future, it must be you seduce her, you witch. The female fan rushed forward to tear off Gu Xi's mask. Gu Xi stepped back. Lu Ziwen grabbed her wrist and threw it away. She almost lost her balance and looked at Lu Ziwen in disbelief. Lu Ziwen's peach blossom eyes, which were always smiling, were covered with frost. He held Gu Xi's fingers tightly and said, who do you think you are? Do you care if I fall in love? You brought me my championship, me? Whoever you love, don't disgust me. He is protective of his little son and has a bad temper, and he cannot stand anyone slandering Gu Xi. Another female fan cried sadly, Lu Ziwen, you are such a person. You are willing to fall in love and ruin your future. You have let down our fans who love you. I declare that I am no longer a fan and will never be a fan again. I like you. She was in a strong mood and making a lot of noise. Others were holding their phones to take pictures of them. Lu Ziwen took off his hat and covered Gu Xi, hiding her face. Lu Ziwen sneered, who cares about you? We've liked you for 5 years, they shouted crazily. Lu Ziwen, you're just in love, you didn't win the championship this month, and you ruined your future for the sake of women. He stiffened, covered Gu Xi's face, and led her out of the mall. He is not a traffic figure, nor is he an idol. He is an athlete who chases the first place on the track based on his strength. He does not need to explain his love affair to his fans. But the fans' words stung Lu Ziwen's nerves. He didn't win the championship because of Gu Xi. But he never regretted it. How could the champion be compared with Gu Xi? But the female fan said that morality kidnapped Gu Xi and would break Gu Xi's heart. Parking lot, dimly lit. Lu Ziwen stroked her fair face and said, don't take her words to heart. I don't lack the championship trophy. She's right, it's because of me. Gu Xi's voice was regretful. Gu Xi, don't pay attention to what others say, just keep looking at me and believe me. Lu Ziwen said, as long as it's you, I'm willing to trade all my championships for you. Gu Xi's heartbeat was also flustered, and she covered his lips, don't talk nonsense. In the last life, one word became a prophecy. He really gave up racing and won all the championships in exchange for her. Lu Ziwen kissed her palm and said, don't worry about what the lunatic said. Gu Xi smiled and said, how could I care about what she said? I'm just teasing you. Gu Xi, Lu Ziwen was furious. Gu Xi stepped on her feet and touched his lips. Lu Ziwen responded enthusiastically. Lu Ziwen ignored the time on his watch for the first time. At the moment they kissed, it was 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Gu Xi felt Lu Ziwen's hand tighten on her waist. The strength was surprisingly strong, and it hurt Gu Xi. While the two were still entangled, Lu Ziwen pushed her away and took a step back. The car lights from the opposite side shone from a distance, like a chasm between them. Gu Xi raised her hand to block the light. After the car left, she looked at the silent Lu Ziwen. Lu Ziwen's lips were still wet, but his eyes changed. Exactly the same face, exactly the same dress. Day and night, are two completely different people. Third Master. Lu Ziwen's Adam's apple rolled in silence, and he looked at Gu Xi quietly. In Gu Xi's sight, the blood in his body gradually cooled. Lu Ziwen turned around and disappeared in front of her. Gu Xi stared at the living person for a second, is he so angry that he doesn't want to see me? Gu Si drove back to Universal. Li Zhang was waiting for her downstairs and gave Gu Si a sapphire blue velvet box. Gu Si asked, "What is this?" "Watch," Li Zhang said, "this is a gift from the third master." Gu Si was stiff, and instantly understood what Lu Ziwen meant. They switched at 6 o'clock. He hoped that she would remember the time and stop making mistakes. This was not a gift, but a warning. "Thank you, third master, for me." Li Zhang smiled and said, "Okay." He was confused as to why Miss Gu Si was not happy at all. This was the first time that third master had given someone a gift. When Gu Si came home, Gu Ziu looked at her faintly and said, "Mom, you went on a date without me." "Baby, my parents are on a date, how can I take care of the child?" "I know, you are true love, I am an accident." Gu Si pinched his face, and Gu Ziu ran to work in the study. Chen Liangdong really dared to use child labor. 8-9 p.m. was Gu Ziu's working time at the National Security Bureau. Zhou Jinjing called, "Xiao Si, you have been scolded on the hot search." Gu Si was on the trending search list, and he was scolded for being on the trending search list. The video of her and Lu Ziwen meeting fans while watching a movie was released and went viral on Lu Ziwen's super chat. At first, the female fans reacted fiercely and wondered who it was. Lu Ziwen immediately covered her face, but someone revealed it was Gu Si. Immediately afterwards, someone posted photos of Gu Si watching racing in Lavis, and photos of her and Lu Ziwen arguing on the street. The chatter exploded. They all said that Lu Ziwen lost the Lavis championship because of his relationship with Gu Si had a quarrel and was distracted and had an accident. Gu Si knew that Lu Ziwen was going to compete and quarreled with him, acting unruly and arrogant. Chen Ying, Xiao Yamei and other well-known Baifume also connoted that Gu Si has been so arrogant and overbearing since she was a child, and Gu Si was scolded on the hot search. Brothers, this is the last free chapter. It will be released early tomorrow morning. It will be updated with 20,000 words in the early morning, and the guarantee is 30,000 words throughout the day. Please support me a lot, okay? End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 85. Chapter 85 Single, not in love. Go to Gu Si, it's not good to fall in love with anyone, fall in love with Lu Ziwen. Gu Si, I curse your 18th generation ancestor for really breaking his defense. He may not win this year's championship. Gu Si, are you in love? We quarreled the day before your race and wanted you to die. I just had a little affection for her, but it was all gone. Stay away from Gu Si, otherwise, you will become unfortunate. Gu Si looked at the vicious curses with a calm expression, but her fingers couldn't help but clenched the phone tightly. Zhou Jinjin was filled with indignation. This group of poisonous people are really scary. Don't keyboard warriors bear legal responsibility? When will real name accounts be implemented? I don't think these idiots will dare to do it. Her trumpet account has fought hundreds of rounds with the poisonous heroes, and her trumpet account also said that Gu Si accompanied her to watch the game. Many of her fans are Lu Ziwen fans, so she should not take sides. Xiao Si, don't be sad, don't care about what they say. Gu Si previewed the comment, it doesn't matter, whatever they say can't hurt me. Unless Lu Ziwen keeps winning the championship, as soon as he makes a mistake, his fans will pester you. Zhou Jinjin said, whose eyes are so poisonous, even though they are covered like this, they can still recognize you. No matter who fell in love with Lu Ziwen, they would be in trouble, and they would be beaten and attacked. Gu Si had already been mentally prepared. In her last life, she had been in prison for several years and suffered a lot. Lu Ziwen was worried that public opinion would hurt her, so she directly retired, even cancelled her account, and lived in seclusion, not wanting to bring any harm to her by public opinion. It's too late to withdraw the hot search. Li Zhang and Zhang Junlin are both withdrawing, but they cannot stop the fans from going crazy. Lu Ziwen has as many female fans as male fans. Anyone who is a fan of racing in the country is his fan. This kind of traffic is too terrifying. The official blog of Dynasty Motorcade was flushed again. Gu Si's entry was posted until early in the morning, and then slowly sank. No one involved responded. Gu Si played the violin on the balcony for 2 hours. Zhang Junlin minimized the heat of the matter. Xiao Si, go out less in the past few days. I know, brother Gu Si, I knew the right thing to do, I happened to be reading. What did Lu Ziwen say? Why didn't he just say a few words? Gu Si said, brother, without a response, the heat on this matter has dropped. No matter how he responds, it is wrong. We are not in a relationship. If I admit it, fans will laugh at me. If I say we are in a relationship, I will protect me. I was attacked by everyone, so there was no need to respond. We're not in love, why are we holding hands and acting like a gangster? Zhang Junlin watched the video clearly, clasped his fingers tightly, and still didn't make a promise to Xiaosai. Gu Si looked at his watch with a subtle look on his face. Zhang Junlin didn't ask any more questions. He was afraid of hurting Gu Si and hung up the phone after saying a few words. He told his special assistant, in the past 2 days, the hot searches for Xiao Si have been reduced to a minimum. Clear. Wait a minute. Zhang Junlin thought, but still felt that it was not safe enough. Go to the entertainment reporter to buy information. If there are any big revelations recently, let them all out. The special assistant thought to himself, Mr. Zhang, this move is too damaging, you are really a maniac about doting on your sister. Yes. Gu Si and Lu Ziwen were in love, but there was no confirmation or explanation, and the popularity had already dropped. 3 big revelations came out in the entertainment industry. The actress Guan Chuiyu had a secret marriage and had children. Speculating on single characters. A popular internet boy had with fans and had a chaotic relationship. Several girlfriends came out to attack him. Another actor who was popular as a top student in the entertainment industry was fined 1.6 billion for tax evasion. In one fell swoop, he became a hot search topic. Eat melon online. Xiao Si, you are a little lucky, they saved your life. The whole network was eating melons, and they were having a great time. Zhou Jinjin ate melons himself, Lu Ziwen remained silent, and Gu Si didn't act like a monster, so their enthusiasm subsided. Gu Si smiled, Xiao Ziyu didn't know this. He was busy training, working, writing papers, and reading the project report given to him by his doctoral supervisor. He was too busy to do anything. Last night, the technical team of United Nations Security arrested as a spy. He worked until late at night and slept until 10 o'clock. Gu Si's enthusiasm was gone. He surfed social networks and didn't like to read gossip news. Lu Ziwen didn't have time to have dinner with Gu Si these days. There were 2 racing events in Haikan. He took the team to Haikan and was away from home for several days. Gu Si calmed down to study. School was about to start, and she had already studied half of her freshman year courses by herself. Lu Ziwen sent her a message after landing in Haikan. Lu Ziwen, who said you will not miss every game. Gu Si, on the cusp of the storm, should I watch your game? Lu Ziwen, why not? Gu Si, okay, I'll buy a plane ticket and wait for me. Lu Ziwen, forget it, the event is only for 2 days, don't run around, remember to watch the live broadcast. Gu Si smiled, I will definitely watch the live broadcast. Lu Ziwen's race in Haikan was very successful. The atmosphere was lively. Dynasty Racing Team was still the most eye-catching presence. Several racers performed very well. As soon as the game ended, Lu Ziwen asked Gu Si, did you watch the live broadcast? I see, You are very handsome today. Goosey Eye has learned to say sweet words, and the effect is pretty good. Lu Ziwen is very useful. What are you doing? Read the medical book. Goosey Eye said, when you are tired, play the violin. Lu Ziwen wanted to install a surveillance camera in Goosey's room so that he could see what she was doing 24 hours a day, but he only dared to think about this idea in his mind. She is not a person who is good at finding topics, but she can easily start a conversation with Lu Ziwen, saying that Guzio is sleeping in, what he had for lunch, what interesting things happened, etc. They can talk about trivial things for a long time. Besides Guzio, Zio is not interested in things, and responds to other things. He was very busy and did not chat for long before hanging up the phone. Goosey Eye continued to study. In the evening, an interview put Lu Ziwen and Goosey Eye on the hot search again. After the racing, a banquet was held in the evening, and Lu Ziwen also attended. At a private banquet, the reporter sneaked in for some unknown reason and danced in front of Lu Ziwen. You had an accident in Lavis because you were distracted by a quarrel with Goosey Eye. Are the rumors true? Your fans are all concerned about whether you and Goosey Eye are in a relationship. Li Zhang observed what was happening and knew that Lu Ziwen was annoying the reporter, so he hurriedly stopped him. Who knew that this reporter was so bold? Lu Ziwen, silence is acquiescence. You and Goosey Eye are in love. Lu Ziwen looked at the arrogant reporter indifferently, and his voice was as cold as ice. I'm single, no talk. For the first time in so many days, he responded head-on to the scandal between him and Goosey Eye, and instantly pushed Goosey Eye to the forefront. His fans mocked Goosey Eye, saying that Lu Ziwen didn't like her, and she kept hugging her thighs, which was worse than their love. The rumors were even worse. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 86. Chapter 86. Did you have trouble in the hospital? Goosey Eye ignored the rumors, ridiculed them at will, and did not respond. She turned a blind eye to the various connotations of the white, rich, and beautiful people in Gu Chuiun's circle of friends. The third master is really the third master, and he will always distance himself from her. Early the next morning, the old lady was recovering well after the surgery and could get out of bed. Goosey Eye bought a bouquet of flowers and went to visit the doctor. Zhang Junlin and the old lady were in the hospital. The old lady recovered well after the surgery. When Goosey Eye came to see her, she was very moved. She had been wanting to see Goosey Eye for a while, but Goosey Eye didn't come to see her. She was afraid that Goosey Eye had a grudge in her heart. Goosey's attitude was as usual. She put down the flowers and fruits and asked a few questions about daily life. The old lady wanted to apologize, but seeing her cold attitude, she couldn't help but feel embarrassed. Zhang Junlin said, Xiao Ci, Grandma feels that her heart rate is a little too fast this morning. Please help her take a look. Report. The old lady felt a little guilty, but she actually took care of herself very well. Zhang Junlin gave her the report. Goosey Eye read the report carefully. There was no problem with the medicines prescribed by Dr. Zhang and Dr. Li. Goosey Eye said, there is nothing wrong with the post-operative care. If you feel chest tightness and heart rate is too fast, it may be because you have been lying down for too long. You can go to the hospital downstairs to relax. I'm also planning to push Grandma out for a walk. Let's go together, Zhang Junlin said. Good. Goosey Eye didn't refuse, and the brother and sister pushed the old lady downstairs to bask in the sun. The old lady was tired from taking care of her, so she slept in the bed next door. In the courtyard, many people are sunbathing. With Goosey Eye accompanying her, the old lady couldn't help but ask, are you busy lately? Well, I'm quite busy, Goosey Eye said. School is about to start, and there are a lot of things to prepare for. Let your brother help you. The old lady felt very guilty when she thought about her bad attitude towards Gusei. She saved her life regardless of her past grudges. It's good to be a doctor. He treats illnesses and saves people. Gusei nodded and was at a loss for words again. Zhang Junlin said, when will grandma be discharged from the hospital? Stay hospitalized for another week for observation. If there are no complications or discomfort, you can recuperate at home without being emotionally stimulated or tired, Gusei said calmly. When grandma is discharged from the hospital, let's come home and have a reunion dinner, Zhang Junlin said. Gusei hesitated. Zhang Junlin touched the old lady's shoulder, and the old lady said, what do you like to eat? I'll ask Sister Gui to prepare it. Your mother loves fish the most. I don't like fish. Chang Junlin. Old man. In fact, Gusei loved to eat fish when she was a child, and later Gu Chuiyun also liked to eat fish. Gu Wenliang said that Zhang Minjiao loved to eat fish and would eat it every meal. It was indeed hereditary. There is a fish on the table, and the tenderest part of the belly must belong to Gu Chuiyun. She cannot compete with Gu Chuiyun. She often competed with Gu Chuiyun when she was a child, and was scolded by Lu Man and called arrogant by Gu Wenliang. Over time, she hated fish. Has become a habit. Then what do you like to eat? The old lady asked gently. Seeing that they were all cautious, Gusei whispered, beef. Okay, the old lady said happily, Sister Gui makes delicious beef. Zhang Junlin's phone rang. He took it and took a look at it. Zayasai, push grandma away, and brother will answer the phone. Good. Gusei pushed the old lady for a walk by the artificial lake. Patients who can walk freely like to go for a walk in the artificial lake. The scenery is pleasant. An old man asked, this is my granddaughter. She is so handsome. Granddaughter, the old lady said proudly, I just got admitted to university this year, the top scorer in the college entrance examination, and is a medical student. Awesome. The little girl is amazing. As a doctor, heal the wounded and rescue the dying. A group of patients looked at Gusei with kind eyes. Gusei couldn't help but laugh or cry. Gusei politely nodded to them and pushed the old lady to continue walking. The old lady said, Xiao Ci, do you still blame grandma? No. As soon as your brother leaves, you don't even want to talk to grandma. You and I are too unfamiliar, so I don't know what to say. Gusei said, I'm stupid and I'm afraid that I'll say the wrong thing and make you angry. Grandma will not be angry. The old lady felt almost overflowing with guilt. Grandma is sorry for you, sorry for your mother. Gusei said, Grandma, it's all over. The old lady felt sad and her eyes were red. Gusei said softly, you have just had an operation. Don't be overjoyed or sad. If it hurts your body, grandpa, uncle, and brother should be worried. The old lady wiped away her tears and said, I'll go home for dinner more often, okay? Good. You and your mother are so similar. The old lady couldn't help but feel sad again. The first time I saw you, I dreamed of the bright moon that night. Back then, I strongly opposed her marrying Gu Wenliang. When Zhang Minjiao married Gu Wenliang, she strongly opposed it. When she picked a son-in-law, she always hoped that he would be well matched. Gu Wenliang was not a good choice in her mind because she was afraid of wronging her daughter. Gusei didn't know what to say. Gu Wenliang was her father. Although he was a scumbag, he failed to fulfill his responsibilities. It was not good for her to add fuel to the fire when the old lady was sad, so as to avoid the old lady's emotional ups and downs. Two young girls who came to visit the doctor secretly took photos in the dark. Is it Gusei? That's right, it's her. The little girl angrily took out an orange and smashed it on Gusei's head, hitting Gusei. Shameless, I asked you to seduce Lu Ziwen and cause him to have an accident during the game. Gusei narrowed her eyes and looked at them displeased. I hug Lu Ziwen with all my heart. Do you recognize me? He clarified personally that he is not in a relationship. You are not worthy of Lu Ziwen at all, stay away from him from now on. As the little girl said, another orange hit her. Gu Si turned her head to catch the orange. She remained silent and suddenly raised her hand. The orange was thrown back and hit the little girl's knee. She screamed in pain and knelt down on one knee. On the ground, he didn't stand up for a while. Ah, I have a broken bone, I have a broken bone, Gu Si, you are so violent, you are dead, I am going to sue you. She screamed and lay down, unable to hold her legs. Come here, my friend has a broken bone, come here. Another little girl shouted. The old lady was surprised. Xiao Si, what's going on? The doctor and nurse came over soon. The little girl cried and shouted, Gu Si beat me, she broke my bones. The old lady was panicked, and Gu Si said, Grandma, it's okay. Zhang Junlin also came back, frowning and asked, what's going on? Fans of Lu Ziwen. Zhang Junlin looked at the oranges on the ground and understood something. His face was very ugly. Zhang Junlin asked, it doesn't matter if you break the bones. We can afford to pay. The corners of Gu Si's lips were slightly raised. The doctor and nurse checked the little girl's injuries. The doctor said, stop howling. There is nothing wrong with your bones. There are only some fractures and a little bruise. I'm in so much pain that I can't even stand up. Impossible, the doctor categorically rejected. If an orange hits you, it will break your bones. Are you going to break it in the hospital? End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 87. Chapter 87 Lu Ziwen doubts Gu Si. The nurse helped the little girl stand firm. She walked a few steps, but her knees hurt slightly, but she could stand upright. There was nothing abnormal. However, it was clear that she was in so much pain just now that she couldn't stand up. The doctor said, this is not normal. Where is the fracture? I. The little girl was embarrassed and embarrassed. Being pointed at by the people around her, she turned around and ran away in anger. Her companions immediately chased her. After the doctor and nurse left, the old lady asked Gu Si, I hit my head with an orange, does it hurt? Gu Si had a concussion, and Zhang Junlin was also worried, let's make a film, and if anything happens, I will sue her and bankrupt her. Gu Si rubbed her forehead and said with a chuckle, if you hit your forehead with an orange, it won't hurt. The moment she hit the little girl's knee, that was not necessarily the case. Gu Si did not have the temperament to suffer losses. Ever since she was a child, she was willing to kill 1,000 enemies and lose 800 to herself. When Gu Si left the hospital, there was a group of little girls waiting at the door, but she avoided it. All Lu Ziwen's fans came to surround her when they heard she was in the hospital. After asking the director, Gu Si left through the special passage of the hospital. Zhou Jinjin was so angry that his teeth itched. Xiao Si, Gu Chuiun stirred up trouble in the group and asked them to go to the hospital to block you. She also pretended to be an insider, saying that you had been pestering Lu Ziwen, causing him to be distracted from training, and even sent several messages. He posted a photo of you entering and exiting the global center, and spread rumors that you two live together. Don't go to the square. His words were very unpleasant. The trumpet played by Gu Chuiun made me laugh to death. I saw her trumpet 2 years ago. I know it is easiest for fans with brain-dead emotions to stir up emotions. Gu Chuiun still never gets tired of using the trick of borrowing a knife to kill people. She was recently thinking about how to coax Lu Ziwen and let the Gu group take a breather. Gu Chuiun thought she was being soft-hearted. Gu Si would rather blow up her own position than make Gu group bankrupt. The Gu group had just borrowed a loan and was attacked by capital. In just 3 days, the GU Group was in urgent need of funds. After being targeted by international headhunters, several teams left their jobs and the company was in chaos. Gu Ci raised her eyebrows. "This is unusual, who is helping me?" Zhang Junlin said, "Hualan Bank is an investment bank and cannot attack a listed company at will. Otherwise, it will be difficult to gain a foothold in the financial world in the future if its integrity goes bankrupt." Gu Ci didn't care who was helping her behind the scenes. The GU Group could not withstand the huge plunder of capital and went bankrupt and reorganized. Gu Wenliang aged 10 years overnight. The kingdom he built with Zhang Minjia was instantly wiped out. Gu Chuiyun cried and went to the old lady to plead for mercy, hoping that the old lady could lend a helping hand. The old lady still met her and said, "Chuiyun, I have loved you for 18 years. For 18 years, even if I knew that you were not Minjia's daughter, I would not care. I have treated you badly, but you refused to save me. Why do you have the face to beg me? Grandma, I was wrong, Chuiyun was wrong, please save the Gu family." The Zhang family, the Gu family, and the Lu family are all related by marriage. If the Gu family falls, the Lu family will also have a hard time. Gu Chuiyun burst into tears. The old lady looked at her with disappointment. "A dragon begets a dragon, and a phoenix begets a phoenix. The old saying is true. Just think that my 18 years of hard work have been in vain, and our relationship between ancestors and grandchildren is over. I don't want to see you again." This can be regarded as giving Gu Ci an explanation in front of her. Gu Chuiyun wiped away her tears and looked at Gu Ci with hatred. "Gu Ci, all this is your handiwork. You are deliberately attacking the Gu Group. You are also a member of the Gu family. You are so vicious. You really want to kill the Gu Group bankruptcy. Your parents have raised you for 18 years, and they have all given up to you. Gu Chuiyun, when you encouraged Lu Ziwen's fans to come to the hospital to surround me, why didn't you expect that the Gu Group would go bankrupt?" Gu Ci looked at it indifferently. She approached Gu Chuiyun and whispered, "I just want to teach Mr. Gu a lesson. It's you, who wants Mr. Gu to go bankrupt, and you will bring it upon yourself. I won't let you go." Gu Chuiyun's eyes were full of hatred. "I will make you pay the price." "Always waiting." Zhang Junlin frowned, looked at Gu Chuiyun's back, and said calmly, "She is ruthless and cunning, so beware of her in the future. I know she has been guarding against Gu Chuiyun. Without Lu Shijia in this life, he would not be in charge of the Lu family. The covenant between him and Gu Chuiyun would be invalidated. No one would support Gu Chuiyun. What kind of trouble could she make?" The Gu family's house worth hundreds of millions was auctioned, and the properties under Gu Wenliang and Lu Man's names were frozen and auctioned. Gu Yaozu and Gu Chuiyun were fine. Gu Chuiyun was smart since she was a child. After she got money, she bought 6 properties, and several of them were, "It's a mansion, and she has a trust fund overseas." Gu's bankruptcy will not affect her personal assets. Selling these properties will not help the Gu family. Gu Chuiyun is not willing to sell them. With the trust fund and real estate, she can live a life without worries about food and clothing. How could Gu Chuiyun, who had been pampered since childhood and spent money like water, be satisfied? She wants to take back her glory, and also let Gu Ci taste her heartache. After she left the Zhang family, she was feeling furious. A car stopped beside her, the door opened, and Lu Shijia sat in the car and asked calmly, "Gu Chuiyun, do you want to take a ride?" The greed and viciousness in Gu Chuiyun's eyes were invisible in the sunlight. She smiled sweetly and said, "Okay." At the Global Center, Lu Ziwen's training has come to an end and he is discussing with the technical team how to speed up when Li Zhang comes over. "Third young master, I have brought Miss Gu Ci's report." Lu Ziwen raised his hand to interrupt him. After explaining to the technical team, he took Li Zhang aside and asked in a deep voice, "How is the investigation?" In her 3 years of high school, Gu Ci only had one friend, Jojin. Her life was very regular. High school students had very heavy homework. Miss Gu Si was absent from work 16 times in 3 years, all of which were sick days. Basically, she was injured in a group fight with Gu Jiwun's little sister team. Asking for leave. The hospital has records. In addition, Jojin and I will go to the game arcade, camp and ride on weekends. After the college entrance examination, she has never been at home. She has absolutely no time to study medicine. I copied Miss Gu Si's surgery. After asking a cardiologist, Miss Gu Si's technique was very similar to that of Dr. North. After opening the chest, she re-diagnosed, changed the surgical plan, and successfully cured the old lady. Only Dr. North could perform such a difficult surgery. There are only a few authoritative doctors who can do it. They all have rich clinical experience. He doesn't believe that an 18-year-old girl can do the surgery. Li Jiang's face was also serious. The more he checked, he felt suspicious. Gu Si. In her 3 years of high school, Miss has absolutely no time to study medicine. Even if she is a genius, she cannot study cardiac surgery in addition to taking care of the heavy high school curriculum. Li Jiang found out Gu Si's whereabouts during the 3 years of high school. The more Lu Ziwen looked at it, the darker his face became. Gu Si was Gu Si, but Gu Si was not Gu Si. Although he and Gu Si reconciled, he never asked Gu Si again about studying medicine. Gu Si didn't want to talk about it, so he couldn't ask, so he had to check it out. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 88. Chapter 88. My brother and sister are very innocent. Third young master, is Miss Gu Si possessed by someone? Li Jiang scratched his head. I also think her personality has changed drastically. Think about it, in the past she was always eaten to death by Gu Jiwun, and she had to fight with everything. Gu Jiwun also cares about Gu Wenliang and Lu Man's opinions, but now he doesn't care about them. Why? Lu Ziwen frowned. Scientific laws cannot lie. If Gu Si can master a surgical knowledge skillfully, she is not Gu Si. If it's not Gu Si, who is she? Third young master, this time Miss Gu Si is shorting the Gu group. How does she know how to operate capital? She is very skilled in operation. This is not the level that a high school graduate should have. Who else knows about your investigation? Young Master Zhang is also investigating, Li Jiang said. He deliberately tried to be more concealed, but Zhang Junlin must have discovered him. He should know that you are investigating Miss Gu Si. This matter is so fantastical that everyone doubts it. Li Jiang, is she Gu Si? Li Jiang thought to himself, third young master, you are Miss Gu Si's dog licker. You are not sure, how can I know? Third young master, if she's not Miss Gu Si, who is she? Lu Ziwen's face was solemn. She was familiar with his habits and had their memories. If not Gu Si, who was it? Li Jiang asked tentatively, how about, ask the third master. Lu Ziwen's face instantly darkened, my affairs have nothing to do with him. Li Jiang shut up and did not dare to speak any more. Lu Ziwen looked upstairs silently, a storm swirling in his eyes. Gu Si, what are you hiding? Gu Si noticed Lu Ziwen's low pressure. He always took a nap in the afternoon to recharge his energy. Recently, Gu Zia was away. Lu Ziwen liked to come down to see her and sleep in her bedroom. Gu Si couldn't even drive him away. Today, he hasn't slept yet. He stared at her as if he wanted to drill a hole. Lu Ziwen asked, Gu's family is bankrupt. Are you sad? I don't care about them, why are you sad? Lu Ziwen said, you shorted their stock price and your techniques were very skillful. How did you know? I'm so impressed that I asked my brother for advice. Gu Si read the book calmly without raising his head. I have a bit of talent in this area. You are very talented. You can be on the operating table and dominate the financial market. Lu Ziwen looked at her with a half smile and leaned against the desk. What surprises are waiting for me? Gu Xi silently raised her head and looked at Lu Ziwen. It turns out that this matter has never gone away. Gu Xi touched her ears and was about to say something when Lu Ziwen held her wrist. He narrowed his eyes and looked at the watch on her wrist. Where did this watch come from? Gu Xi blinked. You gave it to me. Lu Ziwen slowly narrowed his eyes. He had been training these days and had not seen Gu Xi often. He didn't notice that there was an extra watch on her wrist. Gu Xi raised his eyebrows. Did you forget? Lu Ziwen angrily ripped off his watch. I took it by mistake. He turned and left, but Gu Xi didn't mind. Does this expression have any special meaning? Gu Xi's mind was slightly confused. It took a lot of effort to deal with two people, and she also felt tired. 10 minutes later, Lu Ziwen came downstairs and gave her a new watch. It had a black strap, a white dial, and a diamond. It had a low-key luxury. He put it on Gu Xi expressionlessly. What do the two watches mean? Gu Xi asked. No, Lu Ziwen said, that piece is too vulgar and not worthy of you. Gu Xi. This episode interrupted Lu Ziwen's temptation. His face had always been ugly, and Gu Xi was absent-minded in reading. There was a subtle suspicion and temptation between the two. Gu Xi asked, Lu Ziwen, I'm about to start school. I know. Golden autumn, September, the beginning of school season. Gu Xi's pen touched on the science of human body analysis. Why are you always hot and cold towards me? Lu Ziwen froze and looked at her steadily. What about you? Why do you have so many secrets? It turns out that you have always had a grudge. Gu Xi looked at him. Her dark eyes seemed to be covered with fog. Don't I look like Gu Xi? Lu Ziwen shook his head. It looks like it, but it doesn't look alike either. Which Gu Xi do you like? After Lu Ziwen was silent, his tone was low and hoarse. Gu Xi, who grew up with me. Gu Xi felt sour in her heart and her eyes were red. Although she had expected this, she still felt sad. It turned out that what he had always liked was her past self, not her in front of her. But I like the Lu Ziwen in front of me. Gu Xi's eyes turned red and she smiled. I like it very much, I like it very much. After testing each other out that day, Gu Xi and Lu Ziwen never met again, and Lu Ziwen didn't come down to have breakfast. She occasionally sent text messages to Lu Ziwen, and he responded in time. Before school started, Gu Xi went to Jiang's house for dinner, which was a real treat. She brought Gu Xi with her to the reunion dinner. After Gu Xi met Huakao, he was in the same household register as her. Gu Xi played the cute little prince with great proficiency. He made Zhang Minghua, Lin Chenyan, the old man and his wife very happy at the dinner table, including Zhang Junlin. The elders all gave greeting gifts, and they liked the lovable Boyu very much. Gu Xi felt sorry for Ziyu, but also felt happy. In this life, she had a family, and Ziyu also had a family. Zhang Junlin was surprised to learn that Gu Ziyu and Gu Xi were starting a doctoral program together, and that Ziyu's treatment in the Zhang family had skyrocketed. Speaking of which, the Zhang family were all top academics. The old man and the old lady met on the campus of University A. Children and grandchildren are all alumni of University A, from a truly scholarly family. A family dinner brought them closer together. Zhang Junlin and Gu Xi were so similar that the Zhang family felt surprisingly comfortable getting along with each other. Junlin, buy a house near University A. It will be convenient for Ziyasai and Ziyu to study. Zhang Minghua mentioned the matter of buying a house. Gu Xi heard the piano and knew the elegant meaning. The scandal between her and Lu Ziwen was very big and everyone knew it, including the Zhang family. Lu Ziwen denied their relationship to the outside world. The Zhang family must have opinions about Lu Ziwen, but they couldn't say anything directly. Living in Lu Ziwen's house, others seemed to think that they living together would damage Gu Si's reputation. Gu Si said, "Uncle, I like Lu Ziwen very much and I am pursuing him. The first one who is near the water and the building is the moon. It is more convenient to live in the world. He has not done anything wrong in denying the relationship. I have not caught up with him yet." Gu Ziu gnawed at the apple unhappily. "What love?" Gu Si could hear Gu Ziu's displeasure, and reached out to pat his head to comfort him. The Zhang family members had different expressions, and they did not expect Gu Si to be so straightforward. "Can we catch up?" The old man felt distressed. "Is he so difficult to catch up with?" "It's hard to pursue her," Gu Si said openly about her secret love. "Grandpa, I'm working hard." "There's no need to live together," Zhang Minghua said. "We don't live together." Gu Si was measured. "Ziu and I live downstairs in his house." Gu Ziu took the time to raise his hand. "Brother and sister never see each other at night, so they are very innocent." Everybody. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 89. Chapter 89. A University Beauty. Gu Si. The boy is more straightforward when meeting by Gu Si. The old lady said, "If Xiao Si likes to live there, then let her live." Lu Zi's three sons, Lu Shijia is sinister, Lu Shixiu is a straw bag, and Lu Ziwen. Zhang Minghua said lightly, "I don't know what their character is like." "Junlin, what do you think?" Zhang Junlin drank tea indifferently. "I don't know much about it, so I won't comment." Gu Si said, "I'm sensible, don't worry." When the mother and son returned to the world, they met Lu Ziwen and Li Zhang when they went out. He was still wearing a black trench coat, he was dignified and powerful, and his movements were domineering like those of a superior. When Lu Ziwen saw them, he paused briefly and glanced at Li Zhang. Li Zhang came over and said, "Miss Gu Si, the third master is going on a business trip and will be away for 7 days." "I see." After Lu Ziwen and Li Zhang left, Gu Si looked at their backs and asked, "They left in such a hurry. What happened?" Gu Ziu's cheeks were bulging. "Is he mute?" "Why do you want Li Zhang to tell you?" "Don't worry about the details." Gu Si chuckled and took Ziyu home. He had told him not to tell anyone about Lu Ziwen's dual personality, and Gu Si didn't plan to tell Ziyu. She hopes that in Ziu's heart, her father is a healthy person. 3 days after Lu Ziwen went on a business trip, university is started school. Gu Si, Gu Ziu, and Zhou Jinjin went to report together. Half of the people in the medical school came to watch Gu Si. A set of high-definition pictures became popular in the university forum. Gu Si was quickly praised as the campus beauty of a university. The boys in the medical school, the genes are restless, and except for some scroll kings, everyone wants to show their courtesy. In addition to Gu Si's appearance being famous in University A, Gu Ziu's double PhD degree at the age of 6, and his part-time bachelor's degree in management are approaching the limelight. The forum once again exploded. The tyrants of University A, whether they are freshmen or seniors, summarized the comment is that they have never seen the world, and this class of primary school students is too frivolous. Gu Si and Gu Ziu are still siblings. The two of them became the brightest sights and the most discussed at the beginning of the school year at University A. Gu Chuiyun is a star violinist with many fans. Although the Gu family is bankrupt, she still has her pomp and show. On the day of registration, there were reporters following him, and the enthusiasm was very strong. He was quickly covered by Gu Ziu and Gu Si, and there was no splash. The news about Gu Ziu was also circulated in the school, and there was no splash at all on social networks. A university will conduct military training after the semester starts this year, which is different from previous years. Gu Xiu did not need military training. During the military training for undergraduates, he had attended classes normally. Gu Xi was at school, and he planned to stay in the dormitory for a few days. The 4 people in Gu Xi's dormitory are all from City A. Gu Xi's bed was by the window, and there was a sign with her name on it. When she came over, a long-haired girl was tearing up her name, planning to swap it. After being bumped into by Gu Xi, he didn't feel guilty and said, "Let's change the bed." Gu Xi doesn't live on campus and doesn't want to get involved with her on this matter. She has no objection. She laid out all the bedding she brought, neatly organized her things, and went out to find Gu Xiu. Gu Xi is so arrogant and ignores others. What kind of status does this person have that would care about a small citizen like us? Zhang Ping, a long-haired beauty, said in a strange tone. Dr. Gu Xiu has 4 bedrooms, 1 living room and 2 bathrooms, a shared kitchen, and a very good environment. Gu Xiu is very popular because he is a baby. The doctors and brothers made his bed and bought him various snacks. One of them asked with a very clear purpose, "Baby, does your sister have a boyfriend?" Gu Xiu's face turned dark, he looked at the doctor brother, and said noble and coldly, "When I grow up, I want to talk to my sister about my sister. Brother Lian, please give up." Brothers, doctors. Although he had an arrogant attitude, the 3 prospective doctors did not take him seriously. He was lovable because of his cute appearance. When Gu Xi came over, Gu Xiu was biting a popsicle and enslaving others, and he was very happy in enslaving others. Gu Xi greeted them one by one, "When our family meets, I will ask you to take care of them from now on." Several boys were so fascinated by her smile that they wanted to swear that they would raise Gu Xiu as their sons. Gu Xi took Gu Xiu to visit the campus. Zhou Jinjin also packed up his things and came to see them. Gu Xiu took a map. The medical school had a separate teaching building and laboratory, and many courses in the School of Finance and Computer Science were held in the same building, not far away. There are 6 canteens in the school, as well as a Western restaurant, desserts, and everything you need. The environment is beautiful and the learning atmosphere is very strong. Gu Xi and Gu Xiu are a sight to see wherever they go, and the campus has a 100% return rate. Gu Xi walked around the campus for half an hour and met a dozen brave boys who came to ask for WeChat. Zhou Jinjin also met a lot of them. Zhou Jinjin added a few handsome boys and ranked them in order. "You are so superficial, don't meet another scumbag. My eyes are bright. You fell in love with Lu Shixiu just because you thought he was good looking." Gu Xi exposed her ruthlessly, "If you only look at appearance, you will definitely become a scumbag. You are also a Yangu." "I'm not," Gu Xi said, "if I were Yango, I would have fallen in love with Lu Ziwen a long time ago, so why waste 10 years? It makes sense and cannot be refuted." Zhou Jinjin asked, "So you have been in love for a long time?" The 3 of them chatted and laughed, walked around the campus, and basically knew where the classrooms were, where the cafeteria was, and where the library was. Gu Xi was the easiest to worry about. The experimental building and teaching building were together, and the cafeteria was right next to them. Gu Xi sent Lu Ziwen a few pictures taken on campus, but nothing happened. The next day of military training, Gu Xi got up early. She was already self-disciplined and gathered at the appointed time. The 3 girls in the dormitory were walking slowly. When Gu Xi changed clothes and left the dormitory, they got up. When they lined up, they were indeed late. The instructor was strict. After arriving late, we all had to run for half an hour. The female classmates complained endlessly and were taught a lesson. Gu Xi rarely talked to others, but she was the most eye-catching corner of the playground. No matter where she went, people secretly photographed her. On the 5th day of military training, Gu Xi saw Lu Yu, a girl in the same dormitory, suffering from heat stroke. She suddenly fell to the ground and foamed at the mouth. The people around her were startled, and no one dared to help her. Seeing this, Gu Ci hurried over and hugged her to lie flat on the ground. Lu Yu kept vomiting out the contents of her stomach, and Gu Ci turned her sideways to prevent the vomit from blocking her throat. Seeing this, Zhang Ping frowned and said, "Gu Ci, don't touch her. If something happens to her, can you afford it?" Gu Ci ignored it and unbuttoned the top button of Lu Yu's military training uniform to relieve her shortness of breath. Everyone gathered in a circle, worried about Lu Yu. Gu Ci stepped forward and said, "She needs fresh air, please get out of your way." The instructor evacuated the people. The person who had a sudden epilepsy was in too embarrassed a state to watch. After she gave her first aid, the doctor came quickly and ordered Lu Yu to be sent to the infirmary. The doctor praised Gu Ci, as expected of a medical school. The first aid was prompt and standard. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 90. Chapter 90. The third master pushed Gu Ci into the water. We are all freshmen, and few of them have first aid knowledge. Among the freshmen, Gu Ci, in addition to her beauty, has once again attracted the limelight. Zhang Ping disdains it. It's really annoying to be in the limelight for everything. He Miao Miao, another roommate who is good friends with Lu Yu, disagrees. It's not just for the limelight of treating illnesses and saving people. We are all freshmen. She knows first aid, but we don't know anything. We should be ashamed, aren't we? Zhang Ping was furious. Don't you all think she is arrogant and rude? She has been in the same dormitory for a week, but has she ever talked to you? He has a cold temperament and doesn't need to please us, so why should he pay attention to us? Zhang Ping was angry. You are all just outsiders, too. After all, she is the little princess of Hualan Bank. You want to curry favor with her. He Miao Miao was too lazy to talk to her. After Gu Ci rescued people, she changed her impression that she had always been as cold as snow. Lu Yu was so ugly when she had an attack and her vomit was dirty. She didn't dislike it at all. Many people thought she was cold-faced and hot-hearted. Zhou Jinjin heard the rumor and laughed. Xiao Xi's face is cold, and her heart is even colder. There are very few people Gu Ci cares about. She doesn't like to make friends with others, and it's hard to trust others. She won't be sincere to anyone easily. She won't talk to you without spending more than 5 years of heart-to-heart. It has been more than 10 years, with the exception of Gu Ziyu. After what happened with Yang Xihang, it became more difficult for Gu Ci to talk to strangers. Zhou Jinjin was not worried at all that Gu Ci would have new friends who would forget about her. She would definitely be the best friend in Gu Ci's life. After Lu Yu recovered from her illness, she was exempted from military training. Epilepsy is a disease that inherently avoids fatigue and excessive pressure. Lu Yu has not had the disease for 3 or 4 years and has almost recovered. However, she became ill in public and her ugly appearance was exposed. She was sad and silent. I was in a low mood for several days, but I didn't forget to thank Gu Ci and buy her some fruit. Gu Ci said, "Epilepsy can be cured, so don't be discouraged. I have been suffering from this disease for 12 years. Can it really be cured?" It can be cured. For some reason, Lu Yu always felt that her words were powerful and reassuring. Listening to others talking about her illness made her feel better. Gu Ci always kept to herself at school, but Zhou Jinjin and she were in different departments and classes, so it was difficult for them to get together. After she rescued Lu Yu became her little tail, and he also took He Miao Miao with him. The three of them often had meals together. Lu Yu drank milk tea, and he didn't forget to bring a cup to Gu Ci. Zhang Ping felt isolated by them and was very unhappy. She had a few temper tantrums in the dormitory. Gu Ci didn't bother to talk to her. After military training, she just read. Send a message to Lu Ziwen. Lu Ziwen has been on a business trip for more than 7 days and has not returned. On the weekend, there was a social gathering between the medical school and the music school. He Miao Miao and Lu Yu both signed up to participate, and also invited Gu Si. Gu Si was not interested in the social gathering. He Miao Miao and Lu Yu dressed up beautifully to go to the social gathering. Gu Si she read in the dormitory until she was hungry, then she went to the cafeteria and ordered a bowl of wontons. Many colleges also participated in the gathering between the medical school and the music department. They invited Jolie to come to the platform. The gathering was very lively. Lu Yu sent a video to Gu Si, and the host was Gu Jiwen. Gu Si didn't watch the video. After eating wontons, she wandered around the campus to eat. She hadn't seen Lu Ziwen for a while. What was he doing on a business trip? Is there any danger? Gu Si stood in front of the artificial lake, closed her eyes, and said, Lu Ziwen. The wind blew through her hair and ripples appeared on the artificial lake. Gu Si opened her eyes, but there was no trace of Lu Ziwen. Gu Si pursed her lips and said, liar. She looked up at the sickle-like moon and thought of the sickle on Lu Ziwen's windbreaker. Gu Si's heart beat like a drum. Lu Ziwen, I want to see you. A dark shadow passed across the lake, and the breeze blew through the treetops. Lu Ziwen stood behind her silently. Gu Si turned around and saw him. The moonlight was reflected on the bottom of the lake, cold and silent. Her dark eyes lit up inch by inch, like moonlight falling on her eyes. You have been on a business trip for 10 days. Gu Si, if there is no emergency, don't call me again. His tone was always cold. Gu Si confided in her voice, I miss you, it's just an urgent matter. Lu Ziwen's eyes were like thick ink that could not be melted away. He looked at her quietly. Gu Si walked up to him and looked up at him. You heard me, I said I miss you. The person who sees you is not the person you want. I don't care. Gu Si tilted her head, her eyes a little sick. This is the face. Lu Ziwen's fingers trembled slightly and he took a step back. You have crossed the line. What is crossing the line? Gu Si chuckled. The person I like is the person in front of me. What does it mean to cross the line? Either, you give your body back to him. Lu Ziwen's eyes were filled with frost, wishful thinking. Gu Si raised her index finger to her lips. Shh, don't talk. I just want to relieve the pain of lovesickness and don't want to hear your heart-wrenching words. From the other side of the gymnasium, there were screams. The young students were cheering and shouting, enjoying their youth. Gu Si looked at Lu Ziwen greedily, looking a little crazy. Lu Ziwen frowned. Have you been drinking? No, Gu Si shook his head, I don't drink. Lu Ziwen strode forward and smelled the smell of alcohol. Sure enough, after Gu Si just finished eating the wontons, he drank 2 100 ml bottles of Zhangzhou. She was a little dizzy after the liquor had taken over, and the madness that had been suppressed in her heart gradually emerged. She could suppress it when she was calm, but when she was drunk, she could not suppress it. How much did you drink? Gu Si looked at him faintly, then suddenly reached out and hugged his neck. I didn't drink, I missed you. Lu Ziwen broke her hand but did not open it. You are drunk, let go. Not drunk. Gu Si was tired of him acting coquettishly. Her eyes were all red. She was completely drunk. With a flash of cold light, she took out a dagger and put it against her fair cheek. I'll cut it. Do you like it, me? Lu Ziwen held her wrist, and the sharp dagger pricked a blood spot on her cheek. Don't be crazy. I'm crazy, Gu Si said. I've been crazy for many years, but it's a pity that you don't know it. If you are dead, you will feel very distressed if you know that I am crazy. You better not know. The veins on the back of Lu Ziwen's hands bulged, and Gu Si burst into tears. Why don't you love me anymore? Is it my face that's wrong? I'll make a mark. You like Gu Si with scars, don't you? I can do that. She swung hard. Lu Ziwen grabbed her hand, knocked off the dagger, and suddenly pressed her head and pushed her into the artificial lake. Gu Si struggled and fluttered, water splashed, the lake surface rippled, and her breathing gradually weakened. Lu Ziwen lifted the person up again, and Gu Si sat on the ground in embarrassment, looking up at him. Lu Ziwen asked condescendingly, "Are you awake?" Gu Si's face was as white as paper. The lake water soaked her hair and wet her clothes. She couldn't tell whether it was tears or water in her eyes. She looked at Lu Ziwen and struggled to stand up. End of this chapter.